All right, Thrive Nation, if you've ever found yourself wanting to get more done during an already busy schedule, today's guest claims to know how to help you double your business by focusing on less. Aaron Antis, does that even make sense?
It is kind of a misnomer. It throws your brain into like out of balance where you're going, how can I do more while doing less? That just doesn't equate.
It's like a dream within a dream.
It is.
It's like pondering the concept that our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ came down from infinity and inserted himself into time to bring us back to infinity.
Whoa.
It's that kind of
That's pretty good.
It's not that deep, but it is pretty deep.
It is.
How
deep.
can you double your business by focusing on less? Aaron, I'm fired up. Are you fired up?
I am fired up.
James, are you fired up?
Fired up!
All right, without any further ado, it's now my pleasure to introduce to you David Wood, right here on the Thrive Time Show on your radio and podcast download.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, folks, we are interviewing a guest. Not on today's guest, but on today's show, we are interviewing a guest, and his name is David Wood, who's always looking good. David, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Clay. I'm having a pretty good day.
So, David, tell the listeners out there who are not familiar with you, what exactly do you do for a living?
I help business owners to double their revenue and their time off, because there's not a lot of point making a ton of money and then dying without actually having lived the life that you want. And then along the way, I'm interested in the whole person. Like, how is your life? If your life's not amazing, I want to know about that. That's what really excites me.
Okay, so let's do an example here. Let's say that somebody out there is listening right now, and they have a ton of money, like just an insane amount of money, so much money they find themselves wanting to burn the money just to create more physical space in their life. They're just like, just burn that money. They have so much, they have a ton of responsibilities, a lot of obligations. They've got a lot of managers underneath them. They've got a lot of auto insurance payments. They've got a lot of home payments. They got a lot of obligations, a lot of stuff. Can you help people like that?
Yeah. Life tends to be very busy, and I think it's getting more and more complicated. 200 years ago, you and I might wake up and say, hey, we're going to chop down a tree. And then we go out and chop down a tree. And I just imagine it was a lot simpler. But today, we've got systems for our home environment. We've got systems for our insurance. We've got systems for our business, for our job, for our kids, for our dog. We've got systems for everything, and it just keeps on getting more and more complex. The cost is stress, and that we may not be generating the results we really want, which for some people is more money. For many people, it's more time off while making more money. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, but that's what came up for me.
Well, I know that you are an expert of teaching people how to double their business by focusing on less. And I believe that for many people, when they hear the idea, double your business by focusing on less, they say, that'd be great, but I don't think it's possible. So what would you say to somebody out there that's having that thought?
Yeah, I do believe less is more. Now, there's a part of us, you could call it a part of our personality, that wants more, always wants more. And it'll say things like this, oh, we can squeeze that in. That'll just take 60 seconds, and then we'll still be on time for that appointment. Yeah, that's not actually going to happen. We're going to be late for the appointment. There's a part of our personality that says, I can multitask. I can get all this done and this done and this done, and then I'm going to check my text messages, and then I'll check email, and while at the same time I'm going to be productive. It's not true. What we get is we get entertainment and we get being busy. We don't get being productive. So I do believe less is more. If all you want is entertainment and a little bit of adrenaline, then don't listen to what I'm saying. But if you actually want to achieve more in less time, then we have to work out what matters. And equally important, this is the list of things which want to matter, but I'm going to agree not to care about for the next 12 months.
So what is your background? I mean, how did you become the always looking good David Wood?
I'm liking you more and more, Clay.
Oh, yeah.
I used to be a consulting actuary, so I was good at math at school, and I figured, well, I'll become an accountant. And then when we found out what an actuary was, it sounded like it was harder and you got paid more. So I spent 8 years qualifying as an actuary, and at the age of 24, I was on Park Avenue consulting to Sony Music, Ford, and Exxon. And this is a kid from a country town in Australia. I figured I had it made. And then I discovered that it was a bit dry. I like money and I like numbers and business and systems, but I needed to work with the whole person. And that's when I started a 20-year exploration of myself to learn what makes me tick. And now when I help business owners, I'm like, yeah, let's start on the business, but I'm interested in what makes you tick as well.
Why? Why are you interested in what makes people tick?
Because for most of my life, I didn't have any clue. I was just doing my life, and I came top of my school, and then I got this amazing job on Park Avenue, and I had no idea that I was missing skills like emotional intimacy, vulnerability, leadership, authenticity, transparency. I didn't know about any of these things, and worse, Clay, I didn't know that I didn't know. So as I started discovering these things and getting deeper connection in my life, getting more self-expression, and along the way becoming a better leader and communicator, life got so much better that I want to share it with others.
What was your background? I mean, what were you? Did you start off as a business guy? Did you grow up without money? Did you grow up with money? Give us a look into your background.
My parents, we call them middle class in Australia, so I never went hungry. We weren't considered poor. We weren't considered wealthy. And I just got really good at logic, left brain stuff, because I had a tragedy when I was 7 years old. My little sister was killed, and I was there. I witnessed her death in a traffic accident. And I didn't realize this at the time, but I shut down the feelings. I shut down the emotional side, and I just got very cerebral, which is an important skill to have, but it's not everything. And then I went and became an actuary and did all that. And then thank goodness someone told me to go and do a personal growth program. And I thought, yeah, I'll get in and get out. I'm not going to become a self-help junkie. Or famous last words, I am a self-help junkie. I love looking at how the system works, how life works, and how to hack it to have a better time.
How would you describe your love for Vegemite?
I'm a fan. I live in the US now. I live in Colorado, but I do have 2 jars of Vegemite on hand, as every self-respecting Australian would do. You got your passport, you got your Vegemite, and a slab of beer. I'm a big fan. I love it on toast, and people who don't love it, I totally understand. I acquired it from the age of like 6 months old. I got this taste for Vegemite. If you don't like it, I'm not going to hold it against you.
I want to ask you this, because every time that I've ever tried Vegemite, it hasn't been a good experience. How many times does one have to try Vegemite before they like it?
Well, some people like it straight away.
No.
Some people perhaps never do, but I recommend that you try a very small amount. That's a problem. You try and have the same amount that I have, you're going to gag. But if you just start with a little bit on toast, just a tiny little fraction. I've got a friend who did that and built his way up. He actually taught himself to enjoy Vegemite.
Okay, so now we've covered we've covered kind of your background. We've covered Vegemite. We've covered what you do. If there's somebody out there right now who is listening to today's show, and on a very practical level, if they want to begin to double their business by doing less, what are some of the first steps that all of our listeners could apply today?
Yeah, well, I've identified 9 steps, or at least nine skills to be good at. And, our listeners may find that they're already good at 6 of these. You don't have to go and, brush up on all 9 of these. You just want to work out which of them are lacking for you so that you know exactly what to focus on over the next 90 days. And I'll run you through the 9 skills. 1, plot your course. You need to know where you're going. And every week, you need to know what's important that week. Number 2 is where the real productivity lives. And so that's about booking sprints in your calendar and actually being able to say what you said you're going to do. It's not easy to do because the mind's like a monkey on crack. Then the 3rd skill is mindset. Are you viewing things as problems and are you suffering, which I often do? Or do you eat problems for breakfast? Do you take things on as a challenge? Do you tell the truth? Are you courageous? And then 4, 5, and 6 are all about money. Do you have a flood of leads? If you don't, then you want to build your leads. Do you have high conversion? It's one thing to have traffic, but are people buying from you? And number 6 is leveraging your existing customers. It's so easy, Clay, to just keep on hunting for new people, but you want to look at your upsells and your testimonials and your referrals and like that, and your repeat sales. And then 7, 8, and 9 are all about leverage, because for most people, they are the bottleneck in their own business. So we want to clarify our genius zone, the stuff that we love to do and that we're great at, and outsource the rest. We've got to get really good at harnessing talent, or you're never going to have time off. And then we need to motivate and keep the team accountable so that you actually have almost self-managing teams. So those are the 9 skills that I've identified.
So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to kind of go through with we have Aaron Antis with us. He runs Oklahoma's largest home building company. We have James, he's an attorney, and then you have me. We would like to go through this little assessment real quick if we can with you. Aaron, what do you like to do? Like what part of business do you like to do yourself?
I like to train team members and see them go from conscious or unconsciously incompetent and see them come all the way to conscious competence, and like bringing them along and learning a skill that's going to help them for life, because I like to help people and I like to see them grow in their life. That's probably my favorite thing.
Whoa, what sound clip is that?
I don't know if that is a sound clip, Clay. Is that a sound
Seriously,
clip?
I think it's a
That's
sound
not
clip.
a sound clip.
This is a sound clip coming from somewhere.
Clay.
I'm
The
serious.
Vegemite.
I'm
It's
not
the
hitting
Vegemite.
anything. I'm
It's
not.
the Vegemite.
This is not meant to
I
be
can't
funny.
hear it.
That's your previous video.
That's
that you
playing
had.
somewhere?
Yeah, it's playing somewhere in the background.
How is that possible? That's crazy. Unintentional humor right there. Seriously, we did not want that to happen. That was crazy. Okay, so you enjoy helping people, James.
Yeah.
What part of the system do you like helping people with, or what part of business do you like the most? I should say.
I like the sales part of it. I'm an attorney, so I like the sales part of it. I like the service part of it, solving a legal problem. But also, I'm excited about opening up a new chapter and starting a new chapter, the one that Aaron's talking about, and that is sort of getting the systems in place to train employees and to help them grow as well.
Okay, and so and then so if you're sitting down with somebody and they let's say that they're in Aaron's case, they love to help people, they love to train people. In James's case, they like to do new projects, new things. How do you help somebody like that? If somebody out there reaches out to you, what's the process you take them through?
Great. So we're in bucket number 3, which is leverage. And then we're at skill number 6, which is clarify your genius zone. We've just done that. What's next is to do an audit of your time. So we need a list of everything that you need to do in the business. You could just take tomorrow and keep a list of everything that you do. And then once you've got that list, we'll circle the stuff you want to keep. So for Aaron and James, it could be training people to conscious competence. It could be I think it was the second person who spoke said that they like setting up the systems
James,
to do that.
yeah.
So whatever it is that you love to do and you are great at, you circle that, that's what we're going to keep. Everything else goes on one of 2 lists. One is your not to do list. So that's all right. From today, I will not do these things. I won't check Facebook before 5 o'clock. I won't check email messages until noon, so I've got time to actually get some work. Whatever it is, you've got a not to do list starting now. Then you've got a dream not to do list, because it might take some time to get the other stuff off your belt. I find this a pain in the butt myself. I don't actually like hiring and interviewing and setting up new people and training them. But once it's done, it feels so good because everything works like clockwork. And I like to use something I call the 4D audit, Clay. So with everything on the list, you put a D next to each item. Now, the things that we've already circled are the things we're going to keep. So that D stands for do, D-O. I'm going to do this stuff myself. Everything else, you either want to delay, we're going to push that back for a few months and then I'm going to come and look at it again, or you're going to delete it because it's not as important as everything else and it doesn't really move the business forward, or you're going to delegate it. And that's where you're going to start recruiting, hiring, training, motivating people so that that stuff runs like clockwork. Now, your dream not to do list might take a month to implement. It might take you a year or two to implement. That isn't as important. What matters is that you identify what is crucial for you to do, and then you get to work on offloading every single other thing.
Okay, so if somebody implements these aspects into their lives, they're going to see incremental improvement, and that's a good thing. Are there any other things that you see business owners doing most commonly incorrectly when you first meet them?
Well, I think we could just jump straight to the first skill, which is plotting your course. I think a lot of people haven't sat down and written down what they really want to have happen over 12 months. It's a bit confronting, so I can understand why people might put it off, but I think it helps to know in what direction we're heading. And the other thing that becomes very important is once you say, all right, I want this, say I want this much in revenue, I want this much time off, I want to feel 50% closer to my partner, and I want my kids to trust me 50% more. Right, let's suppose those are your goals. Then you've got to write your not to do list. Like, what are the things that I wish I could do this year, but really aren't making it up into the top 5? And those things go in a drawer. You could call it a dream drawer. And once you get something handled that's on the list, that is in the top 5, you can pull something out of the drawer. This is where I think a lot of people get lost, because they try and cram 20 goals onto their year-long thing, and it's like, well, this is what I'll focus on. I'll focus on 20 things. No, that doesn't exist. You can't focus on 20 things. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does make sense. I want to ask you, when do you plan your day typically? Like, what does the typical day look like for you? How do you organize those first 4 hours of every day?
Well, it varies. Sometimes when I'm really organized, what I did recently is I had a system where by 1 o'clock Friday, I had to have my weekly action plan ready. If it wasn't ready exactly on time, then I had to pay $5 to an ex-girlfriend. That was my penalty. And that really got my attention, Clay, because I didn't like paying $5. I didn't need to. And so I would set alarms, because the first time you forget about it, you miss it, and like, damn, and so you go and pay $5. Then you start to get serious. Well, I need to set an alarm and reminders so that I get it done and block off time in the calendar. And what I would do is I would look at my quarterly goals and say, all right, what feels most alive this week? What am I going to tackle? And then I'll pick 3 or 4 big things, and then I'll have a bonus list that if I get time, I'll get to these things. I rarely ever do, but it's a way of satisfying that part of my brain that says, we can do more. I say, all right, we'll get this done, and then you can do that other stuff. So that system worked really well, that each week I knew what to do. The other thing you can do, once you know your 7-day plan, and you might do this on a Friday or a Saturday or Sunday or Monday morning, doesn't matter, as long as you show up and you do it. The next question is, what am I going to do tomorrow? And I set an alarm on my phone, and it would go off at 4 o'clock every day and say, choose the 2 most important things tomorrow. And here's another way to ask it. If I only got 2 things done tomorrow, if that was all I was allowed to do, what would they be? That's a great way to focus the mind, and then write them on a couple of Post-it notes, put them on your computer or the desk or up on the wall, And then when you wake up, you know exactly what to do. And that's a really good feeling.
Aaron, you do a phenomenal job managing your schedule, and you run Oklahoma's largest home building company. How do you organize the first 4 hours of your day?
I get up and I start my day with time with God, because that's where I get my energy from. That's where I get my wisdom from. So I focus on Him first. I spend time with my wife before I leave, because she is the second most important thing to me in my life, and I don't want her to be neglected in the middle of my career. And so, because she's going to be around hopefully for the end of my career as well. And then
I see what you did there.
yeah, so then I head out to my office and I start with my emails. That's the first thing I do, because I want to get through all of my emails for the day. And I try to only look at my emails once a day, because otherwise it becomes a distraction.
So you're a streaker. You never said you put on clothes.
I put on clothes prior to all of that. That's
okay. Just was taking notes.
I didn't know how much detail you wanted there, Clay.
The routine of a streaker. James, did you see what he did there?
I did.
It was a subtle air of omission. But seriously, you have a routine you're into.
I very much have a routine. Yes.
Now, David, have you discovered that most successful people have a routine, or are most successful people random and they don't know what they're going to do at any moment?
Yeah, I'll put it another way. I don't know if most successful people have a routine, but I had one client said to me, I want to incrementally improve my routines so that I have the routines of a winner. And I thought that was brilliant. So he didn't do it all overnight, but he's like, all right, my nutrition. I need to make a healthy smoothie in the morning. And I want to get some meditation in and some movement, maybe put some music on, some self-care, maybe some yoga. So I thought that was really, really clever. So one routine I now have a personal assistant who comes to the house, and she came today and she made green smoothies for the week. So 2 go in the fridge. One goes to me, 1 goes in the fridge, and 5 go in the freezer. And so that's my morning nutrition handled. And I think as we just keep getting better and better and better, why not have the routines of a winner?
Now, what is your website if people want to learn more about you, if they want to follow up or get in touch? What's a place people can go to learn more about you?
Well, I'll give you my website, and I created a special link that goes to a hidden page on my site with some goodies for listeners. Cool. My website is focus.ceo. It's pretty simple. Focus.ceo is my website. But I created a page that has a checklist of what we've talked about today, and about 6 things that we didn't get to talk about. You can download that for free. And if you want to get the occasional video from me, I send about 2 a week. You can get on that list. And also, if you want to get on a phone call with me for 15 minutes and see what your business actually needs, I'm happy to do that. I don't charge for that, because it's how I find the right people to work with. I call it a double your revenue audit. And you can get all those goodies at myfocusgift.com. Pretty simple. Myfocusgift.com takes you to the hidden page on my website.
David Wood, you are looking good, my friend. Thank you so much for allowing us to harass you on today's edition of the Thrive Time Show. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And save some Vegemite for your fellow Australian immigrants out there. It sounds like you do love that Vegemite.
Yeah, I'm plowing through it pretty fast.
Oh, beautiful. All right, you take care.
Good to meet you, Clay. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!